Grab your beverage of choice, everybody, and we're gonna cheers together here. Give you a quick sec, whatever you want. Tea, coffee, alcohol, water. I suggest water because it's good for you and you should hydrate, but hey, you do what you gotta do. Let's cheers in 3, 2, 1. Okie dokie. And while we're taking our sip, tell me the worst job experience you've ever had. I truly want to hear it. Like, even if you want to keep the name of the business anonymous, I totally get it. But like, spill the tea. Let's check out some of these horrible job experiences. I bet we can all relate to them one way or another, you know? When I was working at an embassy, I had a colleague who was convinced I was a Russian spy. Wow. Well then, you might as well have just went along with it. It just really freaked them out. We sat across from each other, so I would often catch her looking at me from behind her laptop screen. She also wouldn't let me touch the mail or go into specific areas of the embassy. Oh, you have a serious job. Okay, never mind. She wouldn't even accept food from me. In fact, when my mother sent me cupcakes for my name day, she demanded that they be x-rayed to see if there was anything inside. Another time, a colleague asked me to make a copy of a visa applicant's ID. When she saw me in the copy room, she yelled, "I knew it!" and kept asking me where I found that ID and what I was doing with it. She was lucky that I saw the humor in all this. I even greeted her in Russian every morning. Yes, this is what I was hoping for. I would totally play up the part just for funsies. But like, what did you do initially that made her think you were a Russian spy? Like, how does one just come to that conclusion? Like, what vibes were you giving off? I took a job in student accommodation as a service and sales advisor. On my first day, I was looking forward to seeing the office where we would welcome students and getting comfortable at a desk. Instead, as soon as I arrived on campus, the manager pointed out a mattress. Tell me you're working on a mattress. The manager pointed out a mattress to me. Unfortunately, it was not for a power nap after lunch. Oh my God. I actually had to carry this mattress on my back, plus a few dozen more over the next few weeks, and deliver them to students' rooms. I have to admit, this was not the kind of assistance that I thought I would be providing. I thought y'all were about to say that instead of having a desk, you just all sat on mattresses, like on the floor, and worked. Honestly, I'd rather do that than carry a bunch of mattresses around. I was working as an intern at a non-profit company where the operations and purpose were a bit shady. The owner, a former politician, usually sat in his office, which had only a small glass window looking into the area where we were working. At some point, he asked me to create a list of investor companies in the United Arab Emirates. Oh, I forgot to say this. Emirates. Oh, I know y'all are gonna come in the comments about the pronunciation. This is the fancy planes that everyone posts on TikTok when they book a flight and they film it, and it's very expensive. Find a few economic problems that Serbia was facing and then call the Serbian embassy to arrange a meeting with their financial director. I did everything he asked, wondering what that was all about. When the financial director agreed to come and meet him, he told me his plan. I was supposed to listen in on his meeting, and each time he mentioned Serbia, I would hold cards with the economic issues I had found in front of his office window so he could appear knowledgeable to the director. When he mentioned something I didn't already have, I'd Google it on the spot, write it on a new card, and hold it up like the others. He'd also tell the financial director that his company collaborated with all of the Emirate investors in the list in order to earn her trust. I left his company shortly after. Yeah, that sounds like a whole lot of sketchy and possibly illegal stuff that I would want no part of. Years ago, I worked for a tech company that loved to brag about how laid back and hip it was. Oh yes, they all do that. We had the standard industry perks like snacks and drinks and a pool table in the kitchen. The CEO, convinced that employees were wasting time enjoying these benefits, installed a hidden camera in the kitchen and began sending out company-wide emails calling out individual employees for consuming more than their fair share of snacks or drinks or spending too much time at the pool table. This whole like camera thing and getting called out, like the whole being watched thing just doesn't work for me. It's gonna be a no. Actually, that's gonna be a hell no. In my very first day job, I was hired as a PA to the CEO of a medical company. I had just completed my graduate degree in communications and was thrilled to find a job in what I thought looked like a really decent company. Oh, so you thought. I was also told that I would take on marketing tasks. I couldn't wait to dive in. I started off working 6 hours per day for the minimum wage, but that was okay because I was going to be full-time in a couple of months and get a raise. Or so I thought. Oh yes, we all start off with a thought. I never got a raise and I hardly did any marketing tasks. However, I did end up with a proper working bench, illegally boxing and shipping drugs to patients with long-term diseases. I found out later on that that company was actually laundering money for a big pharmaceutical. Okie dokie, that is not where I thought this was going. I thought maybe, the company was great, but they just never gave you hours or a raise. No, this company was completely illegal and fraudulent. How do you even you can't put that on your resume. What a waste of your time. I was offered an administrative job at a real estate agency on a trial basis. During my 2 weeks there, I got zero training because the person doing the same job was reluctant to cooperate. The fact that the company decided to hire a second employee for that job meant that she would go from full-time to part-time employment, and for some reason she wanted to punish me for that. Also, on a regular basis, one of the co-founders kept asking me to make him coffee, and then the other co-founder would notice that I wasn't at my desk, so she'd call my internal phone demanding I return to my workstation. As a result, I kept running from the kitchen to my desk and vice versa, something that I guess made me look like Charlie Chaplin. On top of that, my other colleagues would make prank phone calls on me multiple times per day. Oh, did I also mention that this probation period was unpaid? Oh, well, that can't be legal. You're working for free? 2-week probation for free work? No. I don't think any job is worth that, especially not with all this nonsense. I worked at a company where they had cameras, mics, and speakers installed all over the place, even in the kitchen. If you spent 2 extra minutes at lunch, the wife of the business owner was screaming at you through the speakers. She would also get her manicures and pedicures in the office, and afterwards ask employees to empty the bucket she used to soak her feet in. Nah, forget the camera issue. That issue would be enough for me. Not a freaking chance. That is so disgusting, so unprofessional. Ew. Also, talk about being micromanaged. I would never want to work somewhere where you are being stalked, basically. Get off my back, even digitally. Go away. I got a call back from a company a couple weeks after my application saying that they really liked my resume and wanted to schedule an interview with me. I responded that I'd be glad to do so and asked when the best time would be for them to interview me, as I was unemployed at the time and was flexible. The lady replied with, "Oh wait, I don't have the calendar in front of me to see my availabilities. Let me call you back in a sec." I'm still waiting. Okay, well, maybe this was a blessing in disguise, that you weren't meant to work there. Maybe it was because it's a very unorganized place. Maybe a little unprofessional. I don't know. I feel like this is just the universe's way of saying, you don't want to go through this. I'm telling you, you don't. Keep applying. I was working as a call center agent. One day my boss called me into his office to discuss my performance. He had noticed that some of my performance metrics were not up to expectations. But instead of advising on how I could improve, he started making some comments like, "That's a shame, you're such a sweet girl." I thanked him for the feedback, saying I'd try to get better, and quickly left his office out of fear that things might get worse. I wasn't sure whether I could share this incident with anyone, but luckily he was soon transferred to another department. Although his comments might have been well-intentioned, he definitely made me feel uncomfortable and didn't give me any real feedback, so I was relieved that I didn't have to work with him again. Always go with your gut. Always go with your gut. Ladies, gents, doesn't matter, whoever. If anything is ringing a bell inside your mind, it's making you uncomfortable, trust your instincts. I swear. I'm getting really excited. I'm out of breath.
We're gonna take a healing breath together.
We hired a new project manager at the tech company where I used to work. From the very first day, he showed how talkative he is, but not in the friendly, I want to meet my new colleagues way that you may imagine. Quite the opposite. He would not stop talking about things irrelevant to work, even when we were all obviously rolling our eyes with frustration. I remember one day where I could not bear listening to him anymore, so I left my desk and went to another room to focus on work. About an hour later, I returned to my desk, and guess what? He was still talking about the same topic. Honestly, just tell him to stop. Like, sometimes you just, like, politely just say, like, hey man, listen, I can't focus when you're talking so much, so do you mind just if anyone is a Friends fan, it reminds me of when Ross kept telling Chandler and Joey to, like, hey, like telling them to lower the volume. A few years ago, I was going to edit people's resumes and cover letters as a quick way to make some extra cash. At least that's what I thought I'd be doing. It turned out that the company wanted me to fully write resumes and cover letters from scratch without ever even speaking to the person. This was very short-lived and felt totally unethical. Like, you were just making stuff up. Like, making stuff up, and then, let's say I went to you as a customer. I was like, yo, I need a resume and a cover letter. You made up a bunch of stuff. I took it and I studied it and memorized it and made all these backstories in my head. So when I went for my interview, I'd be like, oh yeah, that'd be interesting. That would be a very good technique for acting. Kind of a great exercise. But they need references these days. Everybody calls references. So, like, he'd be busted. Has anyone ever faked a reference before? Like, put a friend down and, like, yo, pretend you're this person and pretend you were my old boss and, like, speak highly of me. I never had to do that. I actually had people speak highly of me, thank God, but I would do that for a friend. Lila, is that you? I saw someone comment that they have a little Shih Tzu, I think they said, I forget, named Lila as well. We spell it differently. I spell it Lila and you spell Lyla. How cute. A few years ago, I took a marketing position in a UK-based company. After a brief training, I realized that I had to carry a wooden sign in a supermarket every day and stand there and promote various products. There was no specific time schedule. I could stay there as long as I wanted, as long as I reached my sales goals. Sounds terrible. At the end of the day, we'd all gather in the company's offices. Our manager would step in while the speakers played the song Pretty Green Eyes at maximum volume, and then the show would begin. We would ring a bell and have a cheery round of applause for everyone who, cheery round of applause for everyone who reached their goals. But what about those who hadn't reached them, but had almost reached them? We would form a circle and that person would stand in the middle and act like a chicken because apparently they chickened out instead of hitting their targets. Oh, and if anyone's phone rang in the middle of this show, they'd immediately have to do 10 push-ups. Like, do y'all remember the stupid chicken dance that we all had to do in class? When our teachers in elementary school would put on the chicken dance, and, like, it was so, I get so embarrassed and I thought it was so annoying that we all just stand up and be freaking chickens around our desks. Anyways, that's what it just reminded me of. Like, that just took me back to a time that I felt was really annoying, so no. All right, guys. Let me know what your worst job experience was, and see you in a while, crocodile. Oh my God, I almost didn't say it. Stay classy and stay sassy. It's almost like you guys wouldn't have done it because I didn't say it.